Right, hey guys, how you doing? Glad that you've been able to log on, and thanks for doing that. I was just looking in the chat comments section there, and I saw that there's some people from Hawaii and California and New Zealand, and so on. So that's fantastic. So really glad that you guys have been able to make it. We've got Adam Naor on the other end as well. He's head of Chromebooks for education in at Google, and I just really want to thank you guys for being a part of it. I'm going to hand over to Adam to start off with, and he's going to explain a little bit about the Chromebook. He's going to talk a little bit about the management of the Chromebooks and so on. And then from there, what will happen is I want to share with you a little bit about some of the apps that you can use in education and so on. So Adam, over to you. Looking forward to what you've got to say.
Thank you for the introduction, Mike, and thank you for all of the people from Australia, New Zealand, and the US and around the world that have joined to learn a little bit more about Chromebooks for education and how they're used and deployed in classrooms around the world. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Mike, can you see that okay?
Yep, that's all good.
Excellent. All right.
Oh, hang on, it just disappeared, mate. Go again.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Give me 1 second here.
That's better.
Great. They say the more people watching a tech demo, the more likely it is to go wrong. That's the inverse relationship.
Murphy's Law.
Right. So, first and foremost, there is my contact information. So if you have additional questions after this Hangout, either about Google and education, Chromebooks, or you'd like to learn more about the professional development options available for your school, please take down my email and Mike's email as well. We look forward to hearing from you. All right, let's get started. One of the things we spend a lot of time working with schools on is helping articulate the value of the internet as the best and decidedly most important platform for driving engagement, delivering curriculum, and advancing academic interests in a school. And if you think about all of the different platforms that exist today at the operating system, at the hardware level, etc., the one thing that unites all of those is the internet. This is something we're excited about. This is a trend that's evolving as the web becomes increasingly powerful and robust in classrooms around the world, and it's something that schools are deploying to help achieve 21st century skills for their students. So if you think about all of the things you can do using the web today, events like the Hangout. Oh, Mike, got the phone call.
Yeah.
If you think about all of the things that phones in Mike's living room enable him to do, like stay in touch with people that are trying to get to him. But seriously, think about the web and what it enables us to do today, like real-time communication and collaboration with free tools like Google Docs, like Hangouts on Air, where people around the world can listen in and watch this presentation. It's increasingly robust, and it's engaging and taking over how we utilize content and resources and drive results. We think that's exciting stuff. Specifically, if you look in the academic space, Google Apps for education and the web more broadly helps extend learning beyond the classroom. That's a unique value of the internet, is that wherever the internet can be found, learning can happen. And that can drive really, really positive results for students. Of course, the internet allows learning for a nearly unlimited set of opportunities and topics. Using a tool like Google Search, if you do a query for the solar system, you'll get nearly 1/3 of a billion results back. And so this great database of information contained online is expanding, it's growing, and it's extending learning in new and dynamic ways that up until the last couple of years largely remain unable to penetrate the classrooms. This is an exciting trend. And then, much like extending learning beyond the classroom and across a range of modalities on an unlimited number of topics, there's also the notion of anytime, anywhere learning. Many of the schools that we work with in Australia and the United States and in New Zealand talk to us about one-to-one computing, but also flipped classrooms, also blended learning, e-learning, distance learning, where there becomes a hybrid model where some of the content is delivered and students learn while they're in the classroom, and some of the responsibility for learning happens beyond the parameters of the classroom. This makes the learning environment engaging and robust and more aligned with the day rather than the finite number of hours in a school day. Of course, there's benefits beyond extending learning beyond the classroom as well. The internet engages everyone potentially in a school community because it makes access to information more accessible. And there's inherently democratic processes associated with that to spread information, to make it accessible for all people in a community, and that can drive really powerful results for students. You know, I've often joked with many educators and Mike that when I was in school, my parents maybe didn't know what I was working on, and that was an entirely good thing for me. But it would have been really terrific if all we needed was an internet connection and they could see the word processing that I was doing, the research that I was conducting, the videos I was making. This is exciting. This is impactful in the classroom. Families can get more involved. You can easily share information with mom or dad or other members of your family beyond just your teacher, so they can see the holistic picture of learning. And then lastly, another real benefit that the web provides is around this notion of building a portfolio for the future. This is your web presence. It's your digital portfolio, if you will. This is a skill that is not only beneficial for learning and driving academic results, but it's increasingly important for how people progress past school, how they learn and how they engage with the workforce and higher education institutions as well. One of the things that we look, for example, towards is when we hire at Google is to make sure that people have a demonstrated track record of having used either web-based tools or that they've published online, either in blogs, etc. Especially when we look at student interns, having a good track record around showing that you're a good digital citizen, that you know how to use these tools, and that you've done it is increasingly important. So if you look holistically at the broader narrative, the internet, the web, this platform enables tremendous things. It's unique, it's powerful, it's getting increasingly strong. It enables learning beyond the classroom, it helps students build a portfolio, and then of course from the first slide extends learning beyond the classroom, which is very, very important. Let's transition a little bit to devices. If a school or if educators believe that the web isn't going anywhere, and it's only getting better and more prevalent in our lives, then why not have devices that are built and optimized for that experience? You know, one of the metaphors I like to toy around with in my head is you don't buy a Ferrari if you're only driving 50 kilometers an hour or 50 miles an hour. So why have a device that can do 100 things when really all your students want to do, all your teachers want to do is open up that device, click on the internet icon, the browser icon, and get online? Why not have a device that's built and optimized for that experience? At Google, we set out to solve this problem about improving computing in the classroom. So one of the things we wanted to do was build a device that was thin, that was light, that had a really good battery, that was easy to manage, and it just connected to the internet so students could go partake in that work that they wanted to get to anyway. So we have a variety of Chromebooks that are available in both the United States and Australia and New Zealand. The one that has been very, very popular amongst students in particular has been the Samsung Chromebook. Let me talk about some of the features of this Chromebook, but these features largely hold true for all the Chromebooks as to why they drive such good results in the classroom. The first thing to note about these devices is that they are extremely fast. They get online almost immediately. They go from off to on in a matter of seconds. They connect directly to the web. Speed matters. I've had a number of teachers over my time at Google tell me, Adam, it is so frustrating when it takes our devices, some of them 3, 5, 7 minutes to start. And that time is wasted. And that downtime does not help students focus, and it's a really bad experience. And that's a good example of when technology gets in the way of learning and gets in the way of teaching, and that can sidetrack entire classrooms. And if you look at the downtime associated with old computers, and you multiply that downtime across many classrooms in a school, many schools in a community, many communities in a state or country, it really adds up, and that's a bad experience for all involved. So we wanted a device that was lightning fast. It goes from off to on basically immediately. It gets you online, and it gets you to those web-based tools that really drive value. The Samsung Chromebook starts in roughly 8 seconds. The second thing is around simplicity. Many teachers and principals and IT directors have said, look, computing in the classroom is just too darn complicated. We have to reimage our devices. We have to install antivirus software. We have to go computer by computer by computer to install applications. If a computer crashes or breaks, there's a ton of downtime to get it fixed. And then we have to wait for that computer to be replaced to give it back and put it in the hands of the student. So we thought, what about a device that's really easy to manage, that updates itself, it remains forever fresh, and is simple to use? You log in with your Google Apps credentials, your username and password, you're online immediately thanks to the speed of the device, and you're using those applications. You're using Google Docs for word processing. You're making presentations. You're doing research, etc. And that's it. All of the pain points of computing, slow and sluggish machines, outdated operating systems, antivirus software that hasn't been maintained, slow boot times, that goes out the window. Lastly, around simplicity, schools have told us, hey, it's really tricky when a student gets one device and that's the only device they can access their data on. That's where their machine has the locally stored information. That is the device for that student. Well, with Chromebooks, they're really easy to share. And that shareability model is tied to the fact that you just log in with your username and password from Google Apps, and all of your data is synced from the cloud. All of your settings, your extensions, your bookmarks, your policies are right there at your fingertips. Again, that's a very different paradigm of computing. It's transformative. So if you combine this simplicity, if you combine the speed, then the last area schools have told us, hey, this really matters, is around security. We know how important it is. We have had schools tell us how important it is that security in computing is a #1 goal for any device that they roll out and put in the hands of their students. So we have a device that can't get viruses. We have a device that's built for security, both at the hardware level and at the management level. And we have a device that's personalized by users so that you can feel comfortable and confident when deploying this technology that it is not only secure, but the security settings meet the needs of whichever student or class or grade level you deploy this technology to. An area that we're going to speak about in greater depth in a little bit is around management of these devices. Not only are they fast, simple, and secure, but they are very, very easy to manage. Controlling one Chromebook, 10 Chromebooks, 100 Chromebooks, or thousands of Chromebooks is as easy as logging into your control panel for Google Apps, selecting the radio buttons and policies that you want for your devices, and pressing save. You can be anywhere in the world, and your devices can be anywhere in the world. But you can manage and control every aspect of how your students spend their time online. And that is the complete value proposition of the Chromebooks for education. So let's take a deep dive into that management console. And look, we understand you got to start somewhere. We're here to help, but this is part of the broader story around using the web successfully in your classroom. Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think that is fantastic, mate. Like, as a teacher, everything you say is just so true, especially the downtime, the students who are being distracted and disruptive while they're waiting for their computers to start up. I mean, that's just a massive frustration as a teacher. I was in Perth on Monday speaking at a couple of schools over there, and one of the things they mentioned too was with devices. They've got a lot of MacBooks in their school, and Apple sends out a massive update, and all the students see that one update all at the same time. They all click update, and so then there's this massive drain on their internet resources for the next couple of hours. As 1,000 students are all downloading all their updates at the same time. So the way the Chromebooks have been organised around speed and efficiency and updating and so on, I just think it's fantastic personally. And I understand everything that's new. Sometimes people get a little bit concerned about it, But I remember the first time I saw a Chromebook, I just didn't know what to think or how it would work. But after using them for a little bit, I think they're awesome. And so there's a lot of people who have questions about how do you deploy a Chromebook, how do we manage them. So it'd be great if you could just show us a little bit behind the scenes and show us how they work. That'd be great.
Sounds good. Were there any specific questions that you might want to reference that I can address?
Yeah, sure. So one of the questions, well, there's a few people asking roughly the same question.
Sure.
One of the questions was, okay, so you get a box of Chromebooks, let's say we get a class set, and we need to obviously enroll the students in that, or we need to enroll them. What's the process? Is that hard? Is it easy?
It's easy.
Yeah. And then so one of the other questions was around how do we set up Chromebooks with different apps? Are we able to control what the students can see?
Sure.
And so maybe if you could answer a couple of those questions, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. All right, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Mike, and for everyone watching this. I'm going to pull up the control panel that is associated with Chromebooks. So when a school decides, look, the internet is the platform that our students are using, and that's the platform we want in our classrooms. We want a device built and optimized for that. That's two of the three ingredients. The third ingredient is a management console. It's a web-based portal that integrates into Google Apps that enables you to manage all of your devices very easily. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull up that management console and show you, if you're an IT director, this is what you'd actually look at to control your fleet of computers. Or let's say you're a principal, you could say to the IT team, or you could even do this yourself, here are the general policies and rules that I want for my school or subset of students. You make those changes, you press save, and all of the computers get that immediately. It's that easy. It's really simple, and it just happens. Over the air, wirelessly, all of the devices are updated with those policies. So let's go ahead. I'm going to share my screen again.
Yep.
Can you see that okay?
Yep, you're all good.
All right. So hopefully this looks familiar. For the schools watching today that are using Google Apps, this is actually the new control panel for Google Apps. Yours might look a little bit different, or it might be identical. Few things to notice. When you get Chromebooks for your school, for education, we turn on a few things. We turn on Chrome management and Chrome devices. Those are tabs within the control panel that enable you to manage the Chrome experience for your students. So let's talk briefly about some of these policies. First things first, there's large holistic buckets of things you can control. So for the purpose of this Hangout, if you have additional questions, please, by all means, let me know and email me. But the general buckets are around devices, managing your network, managing your users. Let's talk about some of the things you can control in here. Users, for the sake of this presentation, are students. So you can put your students in different grade levels, different classes, in organizational units and manage each one. This is very helpful so that you don't have to treat everybody in the school with the same management policies. We understand that schools want to treat potentially older students and younger students differently, or faculty and whatnot, and we enable that. The first policy that's extremely powerful is the refresh rate. You could set the refresh rate as low as 30 minutes, which means that within half an hour of any changes that you make, it gets pushed to the device. Now compare that to Windows computers or tablets, iPads, etc. you might have. Think about how many minutes, how hard it is, how long it takes to update them, or to pick up the new operating system, or to push applications to them. Sometimes it could take weeks. Well, this enables you to do it in as little as 30 minutes, if that's what you desire. Now, Mike's going to talk a little bit more about apps and extensions, but to make a long story short, there's a Chrome web store that Mike will sort of do a deep dive into some specific apps. And you can go to this Chrome web store, and you can type in various things, like let's say calculator. You find one you like. You could do this for a variety of content, and then you can push save. And it gets pushed to all of the devices. Again, a very easy, highly scalable, very efficient way of pushing software, web-based applications to your students and their devices. And you can do that for apps and extensions. You can block them, you can pre-install them, you can control the Chrome Web Store. Now, I spoke about security earlier. It's an extremely important thing for devices in the classroom. You can manage security. You can manage the password manager for your students. You can allow the students to see the show password button or not. You can lock the screen on idle. So if a student is using a school-issued device and walks away from their device and forgets to log out, you can log them out essentially by having the screen lock automatically. That's a very powerful tool for helping students keep their data secure, even when not at the machine. You can turn off incognito mode and then save browser history so you always know what your students are doing when online. Likewise, you can force safe browsing history, and that will enable them to only use Google's custom tools for safe browsing when entering queries. So you can feel comfortable and confident about the kinds of material they'll get. You can manage the network. This is an extremely important thing if your students are connecting to the internet, either at school or at home or on the bus on the way to school. You could say always connect through your proxy server, and then all of your content control rules will always apply. Regardless of where the device is based, it'll always route through your proxy. Very powerful tool for doing content control anywhere, anytime. Now, Mike, you were a teacher. You can understand how important it is, in addition to security and applications and software, how to customize the user experience when they log in. Students and teachers might want to customize, for example, a homepage portal. They want to set the user viewpoint. They want to allow the user to configure a home button or not. You could set the home page to a specific URL. You can load pages on startup. So from a teacher's perspective, you could say, here are 5 websites that I always want to start immediately. And that will help my students stay on track and focused and get right to the material. Well, this management tool enables you to do that very easily. You can control a variety of things around the content. I'm not going to go into each policy today because there's many, many of them, but I'm going to scroll slowly through it so you get an idea of things you can control around disabling the screenshot, 3D content, turn on or off the ability to store cookies, turn on or off the ability for students to see images and JavaScript, different aspects of web pages. A lot of schools turn off notifications because they distract students. So imagine using the internet and never seeing notifications again in your classroom. This management tool enables you to control that. You can do the same thing with plugins and pop-ups. Again, customize the entire browser. One thing some schools like to do is URL blocking. You can blacklist the entire internet if you want, and then only allow those websites that you want your students to access. Again, that's a very sort of draconian approach, but that's certainly one way you could do it with the management console. You can turn on or off the ability to print. You can turn on or off the bookmarks bar, Google Translate and spell check services, the autofilling of forms, and then of course you can control the actual hardware itself. Do you want your students to be able to enter data onto the machines? They have a solid state drive. The Samsung device has a 16 gigabyte solid state drive. Do you want them to be able to put on or off local data, control the microphone, the speakers, and the video? Those are roughly 50 to 55 policies that specifically relate to the users. Let's talk about specific policies to the devices, again, so that we don't get lost in the weeds. If you think the internet is the best platform and you're using Google Apps, then you might want a device that's built and optimized for the internet. And everything we're talking about here relates to how schools can manage their Chromebooks and the Chrome browser on these devices in their classroom. Again, very granular management down to what website students can go to broader management themes around wiping the device, locking it if the screen is left on idle, broader security policies. Again, you can put your devices, like your students, into organizational units and manage those units, a very powerful feature. You can turn on the ability to enroll devices automatically, which will make deployment effortless. You literally take the Chromebook out of the box, and then you can put that in the hands of the student once it's fully charged, and they're up and running. They log in for the first time with your school's domain name, and all of the policies, all of the apps, all of the rules that you want automatically are tied to that user. So they will have a managed experience from the minute they take the device and turn it on and go online.
That's so cool.
What was that, Mike?
So that is so cool. So easy.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just wanted to reiterate that you said it was so cool. You can allow or block guest mode. Again, that's tied to a user policy and a security policy. Maybe you want to restrict sign-in to only people at your school's domain name. So again, I have this domain name, Adam Berkeley, because my name is Adam and I went to Berkeley, and only people within my domain can sign into my Chromebook. And you could set the same at your school. And again, this not only customizes your experience, but it does things like enhance security as well. I was visiting a school in New Zealand, and students were using netbooks, and they had logged into the browser using their Gmail account. And the teacher had shared resources to their domain, to their school domain account. And the student said, "We didn't get it." And the teacher said, "Well, I shared it." Well, in fact, they're talking about two different things. The students didn't get it because they weren't using their school's Google Apps account, but the teacher had in fact shared it. And it caused a bunch of confusion, and the student and teacher went back and forth, and neither party was happy. Well, with Chromebooks, you could say, hey, you can only log into the device using your school's domain name. That will solve that problem. This is a great security policy. You can erase all local user data upon sign out. Again, if security matters to your school and your students, you can set this. And then the device is forever fresh. Whoever logs into it, it's almost as if they're getting a brand new machine each time. You can customize the sign-in screen, whether or not you want your students' photos to appear. Now let's talk briefly about auto-updating. Of all the policies we've talked about, they're extremely impactful at the classroom level. They drive good benefits for students and help them learn and focus and get online. One of the pain points for computers is that operating systems get worse with time. Mike, you know, if you think about a car on day one, it's got a certain value, and 6 months later or 3 years later or 10 years later, the car depreciates. And computers follow that same trajectory. The old computers in your classroom are worth a heck of a lot less today than they were when you bought them, and that's pretty self-explanatory. But with Chromebooks, it's a different paradigm of computing. Instead of getting one operating system, and that's all you get, the operating system updates itself. So with this, you can turn on auto updates. You can select the operating system version. They have different numbers. And then you can even scatter those updates over time. So Mike provided an anecdote that he was in Perth last week, and the schools had got some computer OS update from Apple. And it crashed their system because everybody started downloading those at the same time. Well, with Chromebooks, not only do the devices update themselves automatically, not only can you set the operating system version effortlessly, but you can scatter those updates across time. And this has tremendous implications for how a network behaves and for the overall uptime of the devices in the classroom. And then there's additional policies here. Lastly, you can control the general area of networks. So you can manage certificates, you can add Wi-Fi so the devices connect with a certain security type, a direct internet connection or a manual proxy configuration, etc. Let's go ahead and click out. And then you can manage your networks. So if you look holistically, you can control the users, you can control the devices, and you can control the network, all specifically tied to Chromebooks and integrated with your Google Apps for Education instance. And then lastly, there is a section here on devices. Now, I don't have any devices enrolled in my domain, so this is empty, but you can track the physical assets, the serial number, status, the last time it went through a sync, its enrollment date, the user, the location, notes, so on and so forth. So it's very granular what you can see about the device, who's using it, what websites they're going to, how it's being utilized in the classroom, and the overall user experience for how they spend their time online. All right, Mike, one of the things I talked about in Chrome management, I'll go back here, was around web applications and extensions. for the sake of management, you can easily, effortlessly go to the Chrome Web Store. You can find web-based applications, and you can push them to your students and their devices. I think it'd be a good time to transition to let Mike now talk about some web apps that are really popular in the education space and how they're being used.
All right, fantastic. So, just looking at a couple of questions coming through on the chat just underneath that. Just want to ask you two questions before we do that, if that's okay.
Depends what the questions are.
Yeah. Someone's just asking about connecting to printers and so on. What experience have you got connecting the Chromebooks through print servers and different printers and so on?
Yeah, so you can print for free and wirelessly with these devices using a free tool called Google Cloud Print. To make a long story short, you install Chrome, the browser, on a print server, and that enables you and your students to print from these machines for free and very easily.
All right, fantastic. And a few people talking about bandwidth issues and internet issues and what happens with that. I can see that there's some other people in there answering about offline docs and how to lower your bandwidth and so on. There was one interesting question that came through saying when you set that up so that information is deleted when someone logs out, do they get a warning message about that or not? Do you can you remember
no,
what?
There's no warning message on the deletion of the data. There is the data that's stored on the cloud is not impacted. This is only data stored on the machine, like the username and profile, and if they used any applications or extensions that cached data locally. So most schools that have implemented this policy tell students, as part of the educational process, when you are logged in, save your data online, etc., using your Google Drive, and anything that's not stored there when you log out will be lost. And the reason why is because these computers are being shared, and that data is yours, and when you're not on the device, it'll go away.
Yeah. All right. Fantastic. So that's really good. I saw a school a few weeks ago now that had set up kiosks as well with their Chromebooks, and that was a really cool feature. So they had a group of Chromebooks, and they'd put them into a library, and they turned off a whole lot of apps, and it was the same kind of deal. When a student, they kind of logged in in a kiosk mode, which limited what the students could do on those devices. When they logged out, all information was lost. So yeah, there's some really great innovative ways people are using them as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, let me just share my screen with you guys for a second, and we'll talk about the web store for a sec. What's going to be the best one? That one there, I think. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yep.
All right, excellent. So when you use Chrome, if you're using Chrome, not even on a Chromebook, but anywhere you're using Chrome as your browser, then you get a whole lot of features inside it, which I just love from a teaching and learning and education point of view. Any web app that you add to your Chrome dashboard just lives here. So your students will just be able to open up a new tab, and they'll be able to see their apps which are sitting here. Something that I didn't really think through when I was explaining this on Monday over in WA was to explain the difference between an app and an extension. So on the top of my screen here, you can see that there's some extensions, and they work a little bit differently to an app. And so sometimes people go, well, I added an app to my account and I can't find it, and it's just that it's sitting up here. So we had a range of questions coming in about teaching languages and teaching maths and all sorts of things. And so rather than going through and answering everyone's questions on here, because we could honestly take quite a while to do that, what I've done is I've had my PA go out and find all the apps that I use, and a lot of the apps that I've seen other schools use and quite successfully. And we've also looked all over the internet to see what other people are recommending. And she's put together a PDF with all of the different apps that we have looked at and other people recommend. And so what I'll do at the end of this Hangout, when we email you out the link to watch the recording, I'll also give you that PDF, and you can just have a look at it. So rather than answering questions specifically, what I'll do is I'll just show you a few, and then we can go from there. And if you're watching this recording and you haven't registered and you would like a copy of that, if you just send me an email at mike@teacherstraining.com.au, then I'll be more than happy to email that PDF with you. So to get to the Chrome store, there's different ways you can do that. Adam showed you how you can do it in terms of the whole, managing your whole school network. But if you're just logged in as your own individual user, you can just click on Webstore down the bottom here, and this will open up the web store where you can search for different apps and so on. Now, there is a category down here called Education, and so if you wanted to just randomly look through and see what's online, you can, and you can also use the search function just up here. So there's a couple of videos, websites that you can use. Lots of people were asking about how do I do a screen capture or how do I do a screencast. To do a screencast, what you would probably do is what we're doing right now, and that would be to use a Hangout on Air. As soon as you do a Hangout on Air through Google+, what happens is that video that we're making even right now is automatically saved and added to YouTube. And then, so what you can do is you can then grab that video and then you can edit it and you can do a few things. Now, YouTube have just added the ability for you to be able to edit your videos inside YouTube, which is a really cool feature. But one of the ones I like is WeVideo. Is one that is free, but it also has a paid version to it. One of the reasons I love this, the WeVideo here, is that you're able to collaborate, and so you can have more than one student collaborating on a video at one time. And really, the deal about collaboration is the main thing for me when it comes to Google Apps. So any app that you can find that enables that connection or that collaboration is a real winner. So I've already added this one here, but normally it would just say add it. And here's the process I go through when I'm looking for an app or an extension. The first thing would be is I'd either hear about an app or I could use the search bar to try and find something that might be useful. Then what we do is we just click on here and I just have a quick look at the overview. But more important than that, what I really want to look at is the rating up here and how many people have rated it. And then I want to take a quick look at the reviews, because people will be pretty honest with their reviews and they'll tell you what they've found that works and doesn't work with this. This is becoming increasingly important because literally there are thousands of apps on the internet now, and so you want to really find quite quickly without having to try all of them the one that you want to find. So you can see here this has got 4 out of 5 stars, which is a fairly good rating. As I read through the reviews, most people are saying this is really great. You start to see reviews like this. I'm a professional in media production. This is the most user-friendly editing software I've ever used. When you start to see reviews like that, that's a really good thing. Now, at the end of the day, most of them, you can see their websites. You can go and check out some other related ones that you might want to go, okay, well, this one's got a higher rating and so on. But at the end of the day, most of them are free. So what I would do is I would grab that, I'd just add it to my list, and I'd just test it out. And if I don't like it, then I'd just delete it. So let me just show you a few which I think are probably worth you knowing. For that screencast, I would use a YouTube and a Hangout on Air to do that. To do screen captures, there's an extension that you can get called Awesome Screenshot. And this is really, really cool. It's a free extension, and I'll just quickly show you what it looks like. As you click on the extension, it says here you can capture the visible part of the page, so it will just capture your screen. You can select a part on the screen if you want, and it will capture that, or it will actually capture the whole page, even information that you can't see. So if I just click on capture visible part of the page, well, let's see if this will happen while we're on air at the same time. Might not do it. But what it would normally do is it would take a capture of the screen just there, and it will just open it up in a new tab. And then what you can do from there is it has all these annotation tools. So, you know, you can put circles around things, you can type text, you can drop arrows, and it happens all there. And then after you've annotated, what you can do is you can either print straight out of the extension, you can also save it to your Google Drive folder, or you can download it right there as to your Drive folder. So that's really cool. One of the other ones that I use quite a bit with students is flashcards, and flashcards are just obviously a great way to be able to test your students. This is one that has been created for students with for language, and so if I just flick this over, you can see that it can change the languages, and the students can read them in there as well. There are flashcards. It's really easy to make your own flashcards, and what you do is you can use it from a CSV file. So if you had questions and answers, it will just automatically collate them for you. There is also the great ability to just be able to type your own questions and your answers, and then your students can then download those onto a mobile device. You can share them across the internet, and your students can use those to do their revision. So it's a really, really handy tool. It's not just a text-based one. You can also speak and have it answer do voice questions and voice answers, which is really, really cool in there as well. One of the other apps that I use quite a bit, and I'll get to it this way, it's Video Notes. I'm not sure if anyone has seen this, but you really do need to check it out. It's videonot.es, so it becomes Video Notes. But what you do is you just connect this back to your Google Drive folder, and so it just creates a folder for you inside your Drive. You drop a URL into here, and from there of a video, so you can use Vimeo or YouTube, or if you've got a particular video inside your Drive folder that you want to share with your students, and it will just bring the video up right here on the screen. And what you do when you're watching the video, and I won't do it because it will take too much bandwidth while we're on air, but you can, if you just imagine you've got your video sitting here and you've got notes just here, and as the student or as you're typing notes, what it does is it puts a link back to the video. So at a later date, what will happen is if I come and say, for instance, I type in a note just here, and then I put enter, then I put another one. So maybe like that. Just say this particular note was 30 seconds into the video. When I click on it, it will take me to that exact spot. So from a teaching and learning point of view, I love this particular video notes, because what will happen is I can show my students a video, but I can just jump them to the relevant parts in the video that I want them to go to, so they don't have to watch the whole video to get the bits I want. What you can also do is you can have your students watch a video and take notes, and then you know that they've watched the video, because as they're taking notes, it puts a link back to that video for you, and you can make sure that their notes line up with what's happening in the video there, which is great. A couple other ones I'll just show you quickly that I really like is MindMapr. This is if you want your students to create mind maps. It's so easy to use. You just double click on the central box. What you do is grab that red link and just move it, and we can just do that, then we can move it again. You can put multiple in. It's just so easy to use. So I love that from the point of view of just getting your students to brainstorm. We quite often use this when they're working on a new concept for an assessment task. They can put their ideas, they can drop links to videos, they can drop links to websites and so on. And one of the things I like about this, when you start to use mind mapping software, sometimes the screen size can become a limitation, but you've got a really big canvas that you can use with this particular MindMapr. So that might be something that you would like to work out. One of the other ones I use quite a bit, let me just go back here, is Chrome Speak. We had a few questions come through about about students who have learning difficulties and so on. With Chrome Speak, if they struggle to read, they can just simply grab some text and they can drop it into Chrome Speak, and then Chrome will read it to them. So let me just quickly demo this one for you. I'm just going to find a website and grab some text really quickly. This will be interesting because it's got so many links in there. Alright, so all we do is just paste it in here, click speak.
The domestic dog, Canis lupus familiaris, 2, 3, is a subspecies of the grey wolf, Canis lupus, a member of the Canidae.
Alright, so you get the idea. You can also get the read-write Chrome extension, and that will read anything that's inside your Google Docs. So you could drop a doc into, or share a doc with your students, and then your students would be able to have that read to them, which can be a really handy tool. Your students can also speak, and it will type. So one of the great additions that are coming inside Google Docs now is the ability to speak, and then Google will then type that out using the Google Voice. So some great tools there. As well. So honestly, there are thousands of different apps that you can use. We'll send you the link with ones that we like, know and trust, but you can just see here just a few. This is just one of my accounts that I use just here, and there's a whole lot, like Pixlr Editor. Pixlr Editor is fantastic. What you can do with that, it's kind of like if you imagine just like an editing program for photos like Photoshop. It works just the same, except it's free. So, I mean, so many great options for you that are available, and all you basically need to do is just check them out, check it out on the Webstore, and have a great time figuring out what will work best for your students. So, Adam, I'll throw it back to you for a sec.
Yeah, Mike, that was a great demo. Thank you very much. I actually learned some stuff there. I thought the Chrome Speak was terrific. I had not seen that.
Yeah, no, it's a really, really cool tool.
Thank you for sharing that. So, you know, if you look at the screen Mike is sharing now with all those apps in the middle and then in the top right, the extensions, again, as Mike said, it's up to you as an educator to determine what aligns with your curriculum, what meets the needs of your students and faculty. And then from the management perspective tied to Chromebooks, it's effortless. It's very easy. All you do is select that app, press save, and it gets pushed to all of the students in a class, or all of the students in a grade level, or all of the students in a school. So that aspect of deploying software becomes very, very easy. And you can spend more time on teaching and learning and driving good academic results and less time managing old or tedious computers. So Mike, you know, we have a few more minutes. I thought it'd be good to engage in a dialogue. Maybe you could read out some more of the questions for people that are watching, or if there's anything you wanted me, you know, you're a former teacher, that you wanted me to discuss in greater depth, I'm happy to do so.
All right, so here's a question that just popped up that I was looking at. Obviously, schools are looking at a BYOD kind of a policy where students can bring their own devices. The DER money over here in Australia is running out at the end of the year. And so schools are looking at, okay, so what's our next option for us in terms of providing computers or providing devices to our students? And so often the two, I guess, devices that schools are most interested in would be the iPads and the Chromebooks. So, I mean, I've got a fairly strong opinion about iPads, especially in high school, which is my background. But maybe do you want to just talk about that for a minute, about the differences and maybe why one school would want to think about a Chromebook over an iPad, for instance?
Sure. Mike, before I answer that, do you want to quickly give your assessment, given that you were a teacher and you did teach high school?
Yeah, sure. So obviously inside Chromebooks we have apps, and inside Apple you've got your iOS and you've got your App Store and so on. The biggest frustration I have with I've got two. From a teacher in the classroom point of view, especially in high school, typing's not great. And I know you can add keyboards and you can do all sorts of things, and that makes it a little bit easier. But primarily in high school, you want your students to interact with text, and so your students are, typing on a screen, which is not ideal. I mean, you can make it work, but if I had the choice, I'd use a different device for them, and the students would all say that as well. We did some surveys across a number of schools, and we said if you could have a MacBook, if you could have a Chromebook, if you could have a PC, an iPad, what would you choose? And interestingly enough, in the high schools, the iPad was rated really low down the list based on students' experience of it and how useful it is over time. One of the other frustrations I have with it, especially being obviously a Google certified teacher, I'm writing to Google Apps, and there's a lot of progression being made with the Chrome app and the Drive app and so on, but interaction's still not fantastic. There's workarounds, but once again, it's a little bit clunky. And I guess my other frustration is like they're just not easy to manage. You've got charging carts, and you've got to try and figure out accounts and who pays for what apps, and it just becomes a nightmare when you're looking at it school-wide in terms of maintaining policies, updates, and so on. So for me, the way I would think about it in terms of use, the way in which they're managed across the school, the way in which it's a fair burden on the IT staff to get them set up. For me, I mean, Chromebooks it's an easy solution as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I'm interested in what you've got to say.
Should I even try to respond after such an eloquent and articulate response from a teacher? Look, we talk to schools that have rolled out iPads. We are interested in their experience because a lot of schools have rolled out some iPads and then come to us and said, look, the management is too hard. The glass screens break too frequently. It is impossible to collaborate and use Google Docs successfully, both on this platform and without a keyboard. So, that has been the experience that a lot of schools have had. The devices are harder to manage. They do break more. They cost significantly more money, especially in Australia and New Zealand. And if a school is using Google Apps, which many are, then they don't align particularly well with it. So, if you look holistically at the different ways you can evaluate technology around ease of use for a student, ease of management from an IT staff, ease of cost from a procurement perspective, I think it's a no-brainer that the Chromebooks outperform the iPads significantly. And we're starting to see a really profound shift from schools that have rolled out iPads a year ago or a year and a half ago coming to us and saying these are just too frustrating. We understand that they're sexy devices. We understand that Apple's a great brand, but they're just not driving the results that are aligned with our school in the classroom, which is, in the end of the day, the most important thing. And please help us. So that's been our experience to date.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah, I think that's true, and I would certainly agree with that. It's just I don't know. As a teacher, I just want it to work. I just want it to be quick. Technology is never going to be fail-safe. I mean, let's just face it. And there's always anything I can do to lower resistance amongst teaching staff, then I'm more than interested in finding ways to do that. There's a fair few questions going on, but lots of people are answering, which is fantastic.
Great.
Someone's just asking about what happens if you buy an app on. Do you have to buy it per device, or how does that work?
It's a good question. So, as Mike alluded to, many of the applications in the Chrome Web Store are free. So, in terms of purchasing, that becomes sort of a moot point because it doesn't cost you anything. Then there's this whole other section of apps that, if a school is using Chromebooks, they get 40% off, nearly half off the apps that do cost money. So we've taken the apps that are most successful in education, that schools have recommended to us and are downloaded the most, and we provide any school with Chromebooks half off those applications. You can buy them on a school basis or on behalf of individual students. We make it flexible so that it can easily align with your school's needs.
All right, fantastic. Just looking at a couple of other questions that are coming through, and some of them are around pricing, but I think you've talked about that. Interesting question. I haven't seen a release on this, but someone's just asking, do you know when the Google Play for Education is going to be released down under?
I don't know yet for Australia and New Zealand and sort of this part of the Southern Hemisphere. It's going to roll out for the first time in the fall in the U.S., and I anticipate, I moved to Sydney because I anticipated that Google Play would be available here shortly thereafter, so we can really start making progress with schools. So the fact that I uprooted my life and moved from California to Australia is hopefully a good sign that Google is very serious about our work in education, and we understand that schools are interested in Google Play, and I'm here to help bring that to this country and the schools.
All right, fantastic. So, guys, if you want to ask any other questions, you've got about 5 minutes. If you want to just drop something into the chat box. Another question that I've got just personally.
No personal questions now, Mike.
Personal questions.
No.
You know what personal questions I like. So here's what I want to know. If a school wants to trial Chromebooks, because I get that question every time I go and do PD in a school, they're like, we love the sound of it, we want to get hold of them, but we want to trial a few. What's the easiest way to make that happen? Because I'm sure there's going to be some people who say, well, how do I trial this? Can I get a few to try?
Sure.
And the other question is, like, where do you buy them from? One of the questions on there was, they're available in a lot of different outlets. Someone's talking about Naor in New Zealand.
Yep.
So maybe you want to just talk about that.
Right. That's a great question, and that was less personal than I was anticipating, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate that. Look, so the hardware, the physical Chromebook, there's a few different manufacturers. The one that is most popular in schools, and that's available today in Australia and New Zealand and the US, is the Samsung Chromebook. And you can buy just the hardware at Harvey Norman, JB Hi-Fi, or preferably through Google and our partners, so that we can work specifically to get you education pricing. They're a lot cheaper for schools when you come through Google Direct. In regards to testing the management console, that needs to be purchased. It's $30. It's a one-time fee per device. It needs to be purchased through our resellers, our education resellers. So in Australia, we have a few. Staples would be a big one that maybe your school has worked with. Computelec in Victoria, and in New Zealand, both Norcom and Cyclone Computers have the ability to provide that. So if you want to trial devices, you should send me an email so I can connect you with our local partners that are closest to your school. If you have specific questions about the management console and how to test it, I'm your guy. That's what I do at Google, is I work with schools to evaluate this technology in the classroom, and I'm happy to help. So, I can probably put up my email, or Mike can put it in the chat, and just get in touch with me. I'm looking forward to helping you. That's the answer.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. I'm just having a quick 2-second just flick through some of the comments. So just give me 2 secs. I think we've answered a lot of them. I know there's a lot of. I sent out a Google form to people and just said, hey, if you've got any questions, fill in the form. And I know, Adam, I shared that with you, and we talked about this yesterday, that if we didn't answer any of your questions specifically during the Hangout today, that either Adam or myself will personally get back to you. Both of us love to connect with people. We love to be able to share our ideas and our resources. So just give us a few days, and hopefully we'll get back to you personally about any of those questions.
Definitely.
That come through.
And, the other thing is, this is the first time Mike and I have done this. So if you're here and you've stayed until the end, thank you. And if you found this helpful, please let us know. Both Mike and I, Mike's a former teacher, I'm on the education team, we care deeply about the use of technology, the successful deployment of technology in classrooms, whether it's web apps or other tools, so on and so forth. So please let us know how we can help you. If you do want to learn more about professional development, curriculum integration, how to use these tools successfully, Mike is extremely knowledgeable about that and is a terrific resource. If you want to learn a little bit more about how to use Google Docs, how to use these web apps to drive certain end game and results, Mike's your go-to guy. If you want to talk a little bit more about devices and how to manage devices and how to actually buy them and procure them for your school, please let me know. We're sort of like a 1-2 punch, and we're really, really excited to work with you.
Yeah, that's really good. Excellent. There's a question coming about. Oh no, they just deleted it. Okay.
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. So, mate, we're hitting up on about an hour, and I know you're very busy, so I really do appreciate you taking some time out to do this. I always enjoy hanging out with you, whether it's virtually or in real life. It's always good.
Which do you prefer?
Oh, real life, absolutely. Looking forward to the Gold Coast in a couple of weeks. It's going to be good.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. That's excellent. So I'm thinking, mate, we might just wrap it up if that's okay. If you can just share your screen again, just put up your email and my email address just at the end. That way, people will be able to just be able to see that. They might want to write it down. I'll obviously put it in the email that I send out, but I'm just conscious that maybe someone might be watching this who didn't register, and so it might just be a good opportunity for them to be able to grab that as well, because they won't get my email. And just a reminder, if you want to get the copy of that PDF that we've put together with the different apps, then shoot me an email, and I'll certainly be able to be more than happy to share that with you there as well. So there were a few questions that also came through on how do we get staff going that are resistant, and what's the best way to do staff training, and how do we train students on how to use Chromebooks, and so on. I did want to answer those questions today, but what I did today was I reached out to another Google certified teacher whose name is John Thomas. He's down in Victoria, and he's had some experience just deploying some Chromebooks. We've also got some friends over in New Zealand that have rolled out 800 of them. So what I'd rather do, I think, is just do a whole hangout on that alone, and then we can talk strategies and steps. And I'll give you some of the process I go through when I work with schools and so on, just to lower the resistance, to increase the participation, help the teachers out, but also help the staff out. So if you just watch your email, what we'll try and do is maybe do another one of these in a couple of weeks' time. And if you found this beneficial, like Adam said, we do appreciate you sticking around and being a part of it. I appreciate there's some people here, especially the guys from California and America. It's 1 o'clock in the morning over there. So they're either doing a late shift or they're up early. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Some guys from Hawaii. There's people from every state of Australia. So that's fantastic. We really do appreciate you guys being a part of it. And if there's anything that we can do to help you, honestly, just let us know. So Adam, do you like to have the last word? Is there anything you want to add or say?
No, that was terrific. Looking forward to working more closely with you, Mike, and these schools. Please let us know how we can help. There's our direct contact information. You can reach me anytime. I'm almost always online with my Chromebook. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. All right, thanks, guys. I hope you have a fantastic night, and we look forward to talking with you later. We'll talk to you soon.